you talk about in your book a lot about like there's right music and there is wrong music. And you talk about how much music affects uh, our society. So could you talk a little more about that? Like, could you elaborate? What do you think is like wrong music and right music, and how does that affect society?
That goes back to I started writing the book when I probably I was about 25 when I wrote it, 25, 26, and it's definitely it's a bit. If I was to rewrite it, it would not be so fundamentalist. It's too judgmental in parts, and that's because I was actually in the USA for a while, about a year, and I took on some of the coloration of the religions around me, and they were quite black and white, and I kind of absorbed a bit of that. And but talking about it now, what is right and wrong? They're very general terms, aren't they? Right and wrong. It depends on what you want to do with music, and some people, especially in modern kinds of music, but no, even in what became classical, because that then went electronic and into all kinds of weird experimentation in the 50s and 60s. And some people get into music just because they want fame or they want money, and they just want to express anything, and they don't really care what they express so long as it gets an audience and people buy their music. And that isn't very constructive to society. So what music should be used for, as far as I'm concerned, is even in a small way, to raise consciousness, to give people a good feeling, to make them feel love. But then it can be very high, it can be very meditative and very spiritual. But the more spiritual and meditative it becomes, you might have a smaller audience. You might be leaving some people behind. So there's definitely a very important role for music for the masses, so to speak, like beautiful love songs and things like that. And Here Comes the Sun, that's an uplifting song. And just to remember that whatever you're doing, whatever kind of music you're releasing, it's going to affect people. It's going to change them. And some people don't take that into consideration, don't really care. And there are some quotes from people in past decades where they're actually saying that their intention is to take control of the minds of the youth. And what they meant by that, who knows, maybe they meant that things were too boring in the 1950s, we've got to move on, but who knows. But I was influenced around the time I was writing the book by this black, white, good, evil kind of scenario, which I wouldn't buy into so much these days. But there is definitely such a thing as music which is not uplifting at all and not constructive.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's easy to write a love song to appeal to the masses, but for example, there's songs that are teaching. That's what people have to understand is like this music, we write a hook. It's catchy music. We write a hook. We reel in the subconscious mind. We're not, a lot of people don't really hear the lyrics first, but they're in their subconscious and then they sing them. They don't even know what they're saying. What are we talking about? So that's, again, I just want to hit that point again, really strongly to anyone listening, to anyone who's writing music. What are you saying that's going to creep into people's subconscious and you become what you think about most often? So what is in our subconscious mind runs our conscious life. So you have to be very careful with what these people are ingesting into their mind.